Call to stand for the pledge. Rachel, can you call roll, please?
Sure. Northler?
Here.
Rick?
Here.
Ferrara? Herbert?
Present.
Morris?
Present.
Zavala?
I'd like to make an announcement. An executive session was held tonight, November 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to discuss legal matters with the solicitor. Council, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. We will now move on to public comments.
Charlotte Watson, 523 Magnolia Street, Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. For you, none of you do know, oftentimes it was only me at council meetings since I was in my 30s. I was the only one for years. I come to speak to you today because I feel that you should hear what I have to say, and necessarily, I don't know if it's going to help or not. I know the public is discouraged and attendance shows you here, but the bottom line is, so far, this what we're experiencing, where we're continuing to be led down an abyss that's costing taxpayers money. So it looks like taxation without representation. We don't get any benefits from the tax dollars we spend. And if you ever heard a guy named Gil Scott Heron, went to Lincoln University, one of the most famous things he sings is, "The revolution will not be televised." I think you need to understand that you're brewing a storm. And so the next election, for people who don't want something to be personal, your names will probably be called out loud. That's what happens when you sit in a public seat. For every injustice they think you did, they're going to talk about it, because we don't have anything that's been pro-citizen for us to clap about. So the bottom line is, what we have had is those two garages up there to sit. That was, the first one was supposed to be paid for in 2023. The Bosley sat here from the finance committee, talking about some crap, but we needed to do this. He could cut her years and cut her amount. Made another bond, so the second one could be made. Therefore, the one that should have been paid in a couple of years was probably dragged out just so they could get money to do that. So we hear when you have one excuse but use the money for another. We also, when I look at that, the fact that the library tax, if I don't hear a motion for you to do away with the money you already give me, then I'll be greatly disappointed myself, because the tax takes care of them now. We should not be letting them do double dipping at the expense of our citizens. For the past 20, 25, maybe 30 years, our federally target areas were 7 based on our incomes. Those people are quickly being replaced, put out, rents double, cannot afford to go back in. And the fact about the matter, you're still using their statistic to get grants or whatever. And as far as we know about grants, another thing, we've heard a lot about grants. We had to float a loan before a grant was going to be initiated. That don't even sound right to me. Because when you get a grant, you get a grant. It's your money, and you have to fall within the regulations, the guidelines of that grant to use it. It doesn't stretch on for years. So how are we going to check back if I'm dead? Some of you might like that, but if I'm dead, how are we going to check back to see how that loan's repaid and when? Because I have been the encyclopedia on when things happened and how they transpired and what we did as an end result and how the citizens were shortchanged or whether it benefited us. We haven't heard about the pool taxation without representation. No definitive Answers come from you, and it needs to. We got this albatross that you're trying to finance, that even in the year 3000, we probably will still be in debt trying to get away from it. You're leading us down an abyss we can't even possibly ever get out, because the way you're thinking about filling it up makes it less attractive to a potential buyer. And I'm not in real estate. I'm not in it. As far as I'm concerned, we can sell it today. You can work out your trunks like the Lincoln lawyer, if you know who he is, Matthew McConaughey. You can work out of your trunks and do your job, because this is just too much for the citizens. You're going to be higher than the county in taxes on my bill. So you have to be on other people's bills. It's not fair. It's not fair for this extravagant attitude to continue. I could list on and on the infractions. And if you think that police station is going to bring the money we need, there's no hurry on selling that. You better sell those garages first, because that's where you're going to get your money from.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Any other public comment? There being none, we will move to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion made.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor of passing the consent agenda, say aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Had a couple discussion items that were moved off consent. The first is considering the approval of bid award for the removal of the furniture at 600 South Broad Street.
So the item as presented last time, there seemed to be support for doing a portion of it and then giving consent for staff to sign off on the remainder if it looks like we're on the right track and we're doing it cost effectively. I believe our attorney worked through the kind of mechanism to make that happen. So Mr. Gerber, are you able to speak to that? Chip?
He did cover what we asked.
Right. So they'll be working on that phase one and then move forward accordingly
That's right.
through the mechanism you outlined.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
And as with anything that you give authority for, obviously we'll keep you updated on it and keep you in the loop on it.
So as of right now, we're committed to the 33,410.
I think the question is whether we commit to full amount, giving our manager the authorization. Maybe we're saying.
Absolutely, yes, we are. Any questions or clarification? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract between the borough and J-Dog Junk Removal for the removal of the furniture as outlined.
I will move to approve said contract.
Your second.
I will second it.
Question. None? Being none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second is the first reading of the ordinance for the tax rate change, and I believe that we just waited on this, just in the event the library tax was passed and needed to be worked accordingly into the ordinance.
Yeah, so obviously the final vote on the budget will come in December. It seems the consensus of council is to take the library funds out of our budget and to take our number down by that amount. So that's what we'll plan to do. Obviously, this is a policy decision for council at the end of the day. So we will adjust this number accordingly. Yeah, sure.
So just to clarify, 'cause this is not clear to me. You're saying, so they approved the borough residents in a very slim margin approved tax increase. for the library. We already give the library a chunk of money. So what we're saying is that we're gonna move that chunk into this line item plus the amount more. It's higher than what we give them.
No, so,
Deleting the chunk that we have previously given them completely.
Right.
There's nothing, right, there's nothing in the general fund budget. that-
They will get the money from the
So
tax,
next line item on their bill,
correct?
it's gonna say that amount. But we, as a council, are gonna take that amount out of budget.
The 40,000 that we've given them before.
Right.
Will come back into our general.
So we are not lowering our tax number.
The overall tax burden stays the same.
Right.
The overall tax burden stays the same.
just to clarify, right, there might be two different things being said there. What we've talked about is raising our tax by 1.15 mils. That was before the library tax was voted on. Last night it was voted on, be approved, I believe 0.2 mils. So the thinking is that we will take out the 40,000 out of our tax, which Nick, do you remember offhand what that number was? I think it was like 0.1517. That number will come out, so our rate will be 0.98 extra. And then the 0.2 extra for the library that they got approved. So we're just taking what we gave the library in 22 out of our budget and taking down our tax amount by whatever that amount is. Yep.
Lowering our tax. We're gonna in this other tax.
That seems to be the consensus of council, so that's what we're planning to do. Yep.
Here, it wasn't sort of like we're just moving the money over here.
So, right.
No.
So the point,
The previous one said that it was
five, proposed no increase.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
So the 1.15 proposed millage increase for the fire and EMS services will probably come down to 1.10 or 2 or something less than 1.15.
Right, probably like around 1. I don't know the exact number, but about 1.
So we're taking the $40,000 that we had allocated out of the budget.
Right. Not going to library, it's not going to us, it's just back to the public.
Okay. Then I misspoke.
all in, come.
No, we would just be voting on the budget as a whole that doesn't have it in there. No. I think it's just 1, but we'll check on that. I mean, we'll make sure of it. We'll do it the right way.
So the purpose, yeah, absolutely. We will do it. So for this item, first reading the ordinance for the tax rate change is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
Yes.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
No, this is an advertisement. We have to do 2, one in November, one in December.
This is the advertisement, and you have the real vote.
Right,
and-
so
Yeah,
we'll finalize the numbers from
Right.
the December final budget to be approved.
that's right.
All right. There's no other discussion. The first reading or the ordinance, so do we advertise? That's the motion and the second. All in favor?
So, sorry,
Oh,
let me
oh,
just,
oh.
can we get authorization to advertise as the number less whatever it works out to be? So that we're advertising, yes, instead of advertising 1.15.
You know what that is though? Yeah.
We'll do the math on it, but it's about 0.15.
So we can refine it in December either way.
I want to advertise correctly.
Motion to, is there a motion? So that motion's off the table. Is there a motion to approve the reading of the tax ordinance that accurately reflects the tax rate?
Meaning this number here, less
Less.
the 40,000 that's been allocated to the library.
That's correct.
Yes.
There's a second. Kathleen seconds that. Make sure you got all that. All right. Any other discussion? Now that everything, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion. carries. And then the last item was the approval of the council meeting minutes. Mr. Norris had requested an edit. And you see here highlighted in yellow, Mr. Legere was asked if he would share the annual profit and loss statement, figures and capital investment maybe at the YMCA since they took over the full date, and he agreed to share this information. Is there a motion to approve these minutes from October 2nd? Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that is the end of the action items. Anything else from council tonight?
Will we be discussing or bringing up why we as part of our understanding what the potential cost could be and have a place for it? as we go into
Can I think about that a little bit? I'm not sure what the number would be to put into the budget. So can we can, yeah,
when if conversation with the why doesn't go the way we need it to, we have the option and the resources to move it in the other direction.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, let us work on that a little bit.
And also, in case everyone doesn't know, Kyle and I think Doug, you were not able to,
I was not.
our meeting with the Y this week, I was just looking it up, to very seriously let them know that we are looking for the pool to be much more of a community pool based on the input that we received, in lines with what the pool used to be. Details to be determined, but different.
Anything else from council? Manager?
I'm sure we'll talk about it in December, but just to thank you to Council President Derfler and Vice President Zavala for your time on council, for all of us and myself.
I just want to say congratulations to Councilman Strick for being reelected. Congratulations. Mr. Mayor, anything from you? All right, meeting adjourned.